Hello, Louisville. Guess who's coming to dinner? Hello, Louisville. Welcome back to Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. It's November 11th, and it's Veterans Day. It's a day that we honor and salute our veterans for their service. And today I actually went to Zachary Taylor's cemetery, and last year I found that that's where my grandfather was buried. He's a World War I veteran, so it's only right down the street. So if I didn't go visit his grave today, I think I would be banished from the Carter clan. But today I have it's a special treat, especially for Louisvillians, that we're going to pay tribute and salute our very own Dunn family. But first off, we're going to start with the one and the only, Colonel Ken Dunn. What's happening, my brother?
Miss Janice Carter Miller, everything's going well. I'm here in Stafford, Virginia.
Stafford, Virginia. Okay.
What's
that close to?
Stafford, Virginia is exactly 40 miles south of Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Straight on Interstate 95 going south.
Okay.
And we're 10 miles south of the Quantico Marine Corps base.
Okay.
Where I still work.
Okay.
I'm still employed by the Marine Corps since I retired from the military.
Okay.
And I work in a manpower organization, and I also teach. So I'm an adjunct faculty member at the Marine Corps University, and I teach a course online right now.
Tell me about this course you teach.
Well, in 2006, it's all your fault.
Has it anything to do with Mumford Point Marines?
Yeah, it's your fault.
Okay.
When the great city of Louisville invited me back in 2006 to speak at the Covenant Hagen's scholarship dinner.
Yes.
2006. I prepared a slideshow for that presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you came along and sang before and after, but it piqued my interest in the Mumford Point Marines to the point that I began to really study them.
Okay.
And as things progressed, and I began to lecture more about Mumford Point, but yours is the first one.
Okay.
Over the years, the university asked me to develop an elective for the Command and Staff College at the university. And I said, well, if I'm going to develop a course, it's going to be about the Mumford Point Marines. So wow. I developed, and this is 4 years ago. So I'm in my fourth iteration of teaching the course. And the name of the course is Marine Corps Great Leaders, Mumford Point Forward. And what we do is we analyze the segregation and integration of the Marine Corps, from the Revolutionary War right on through, and when they integrated in 1941 and 1942.
Mm-hmm.
Which your stepfather was a proud member,
right,
of having served at Mumford Point or trained there. And then what I do, Janice, I take the student from the beginning, the Revolutionary War, where blacks were outlawed in the Marine Corps, from the Revolutionary War all the way up to 1942, and then we analyze Mumford Point, but then we begin to talk about some of the leaders like Sergeant Major Edgar R. Huff and Sergeant Major Hashmart Johnson, who were the first black sergeants major of the Marine Corps. And I take the students all the way through, and then we begin to study the other staff non-commissioned officers and general officers, as well as other officers that have served in the Marine Corps, that is the African Americans. and we bring them right on up to today. So
Okay.
that's the name of my course. And right now in my course, it's a 10-lesson course, so that's 8 to 10 weeks. And right now my students are they're just completing their final essays on for the course. I'll just give you some of the leaders that they're picking out: Lieutenant General Frank Peterson, Major General Jerome Cooper. Um, then we have Sergeant Major John Canley, who just was awarded the Medal of Honor here 2 years ago for his service in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Major General Charles Bolden, our first black astronaut
Okay.
from the Marine Corps. So that's the name of the course. Uh, I really enjoyed teaching it. You know,
Okay.
I developed it. I asked all the questions, and I put whatever slant I want to on it. Uh,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but that's really a result of all the things that Louisville has done in my nurturing and upbringing and background. You know, my mother's civil activism, uh,
Wow.
all those things that happened in Louisville rubbed off on me. And now, as a college professor, I'm able to shape those things and teach people about it. Yes, ma'am.
I want to say this. If for those of you that don't know, when Ken makes reference to his mother is the one and the only Fran Dunn Thomas. Uh, my association, my connection with the Dunns is these were the first probably friends that I ever had in my life because they were my next door neighbors in Beach Terrace.
Mhm.
And I've been having some moments of reminiscing about different people. I interviewed Senator Neal
Hmm.
last week, and
Right.
that he too was born in Beach Terrace.
Wow.
And thinking about all the people that have come out of Beach Terrace,
Yes, ma'am.
which is now no more, but that legacy of that community, because that was truly a village that we grew up in.
It was. Yes, ma'am. It
Wasn't it
sure
a village?
was. It was.
And like I said, I tell the story about your mom saving me and keeping my house from burning down because I set it on fire. And uh, Miss Francis came and I said, "Would you please come?" I said, "My bathroom's on fire. Could you please come put it out?" And she came over and hysterically she took the buckets and put the fire out.
Wow.
But Ken, you went to West Point
No, ma'am. I went to the Naval Academy.
Naval Academy. Okay,
Ma'am, I went
West
to
Point is what?
West Point is the each one of the services has a military academy.
That's their okay.
The Army's military academy is West Point.
Is West Point. Oh, so you went to the
The-
Naval Academy.
Yeah, the
So
Naval
what was it like for you? So you went into the Naval Academy what year?
1970.
So what was that like for you? As far in terms of, say, uh, the racial uh, situation.
Well, the having grown up in Louisville, and as a youngster was segregated Louisville, then Louisville gradually integrated. I recall riding on the backs of buses with mom. Miss Francis taking Keith and I to a nursery school across town. I'm not even sure where that nursery school is.
Right.
We rode the bus to get there.
Okay.
We rode in the backs of the bus to get to
Oh, you're talking about you rode a city bus
a
going
city.
to the school. Okay. Okay. But
And,
you rode in the back of the city
yes,
bus.
ma'am. And then we recall not being able to go to certain stores on 4th Street and when we went to the movie theaters, we went in the attic, or excuse me, the upper
The balcony.
balcony. Yes. So remember, and then going to St. Augustine, which was all black Catholic school, and our interaction with the other Catholic schools in the Louisville parish,
Okay.
most of them were all white, except maybe Christ the King and the other school at in Carter Homes. But all the other parishes were white. So when we would come in there to play basketball or football, we competed against uh, white kids.
Right.
That was our first exposure. But one of the other exposures I had, my first one exposure to integrated schools was in coming out of sixth grade. It took a handful of students from St. Augustine, and they sent us to summer school out at St. Agnes, which is next to Bellarmine College. I think the St. Agnes must be the wealthiest parish in Louisville. And
Mm-hmm.
I catch that bus at 10th and Chestnut, all right,
Okay.
Trevilian Way, and it would take us on through downtown, heading out on Newburgh Road, and then deposit us at St. Agnes. And I went there for summer school for 6 weeks after my sixth grade year. And that was the first time I ever attended school with white children. And they were all virtually wealthy. And of course, I'm coming to Beechertracian where my mom had bought me my summer uniform from J.C. Penney, which was two pair of Bermuda shorts and two polo shirts.
Okay.
And
The things we remember, huh?
yes, ma'am. And that was my uniform.
Okay.
The
Okay.
other kids on the other
Well,
kids,
you were gonna be ready now. You had to have your uniform.
yes, ma'am. But the thing about it was, the other kids were teasing me about wearing the same clothes. Not the white kids, the other black kids from St. Augustine.
Okay.
Three other guys from upper class, Billy Cummins and those guys. And they were teasing me about wearing the same clothes every day because they had gotten on the bus further west going east. And
Okay.
I was the last student to get on. So, and they were in the back of the bus. Yeah, hey, Dunn, when you going to change your clothes? So, the best thing about that, though, Miss Janice, was you had a lot of domestic workers on that bus.
On the bus.
A lot
Okay.
of the ladies who cleaned houses in the East End, that part of town. And this lady
Mm-hmm.
told me something I never forget. She said, son, he said, don't you pay those other guys any mind from the clothes that you wear. He says, because every day you get on that bus, your clothes are clean and they're neat. And
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to worry about a thing. Hey, Miss
Yeah.
Janice, I wore my polo shirt and my plaid shorts for the rest of that summer, and they were
Proudly.
absolutely. And of course, it all comes from Miss Francis. She made sure that we were squared away when we got out of the house. So.
Yeah.
But in 1970, after growing up in Louisville, and then when Mom married Staff Sergeant Thomas, we moved to the West End, St. Benedict.
Okay.
I joined I've had the good fortune to join the Boys and Girls Club, the Boys Club, and I played on that 12 and under
Where's
football.
Saint Benedict?
St. Benedict was on 26 and Osage.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right.
Right.
Ooh, Lord, I remember going to St. George's.
Yes, ma'am. But
That's the same. Okay,
same
that's
area.
where we would go when I started going to clubs. That's where you go to party.
Right. But and then St. Benedict's was still had there's
Right.
still white kids there, and but joined the boys club. All of us went to the boys club, and I played on that football team. That was the first time I played organized football was with him, and I was on that team and we won the city championship. So I had this somehow or another that they found me and I played on that team. And then we went from 23rd and Oak to Fort Knox.
Oh, you know what? I remember where you are. You lived upstairs
Right, we did.
on
We
23rd and Oak. Okay.
lived in an apartment above the drugstore.
Okay. Yeah.
Across from Smith's fast food place.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and then we moved to Fort Knox after my stepfather. I'll call him father from now on because that's what he
Yeah.
says. But
Let me say this
mm-hmm.
about how our families keep connecting, because my dad um, was the witness for VT and Miss Fran when they got married.
That's right. You're exactly right. That's right. In 1964,
Wow.
right there in Beechertracian.
Wow. Okay. Go on. Woo!
So then, then when Staff Sergeant Thomas returned from Vietnam, okay, then his first tour, then we moved to Fort Knox.
Okay.
Me, Larry, excuse me, Pam, Larry, Rodney, me, and Keith. We all
Okay. You're mentioning your siblings, so let's see if we can do one of this.
okay. About him? Oh,
Hey,
okay.
what's up? There we have the baby brother,
Yep.
Keith Dunn, because I got the whole Dunn clan. I couldn't just do one. I got the whole Dunn clan. I'm trying to see how many of us can get on here today. Um,
Yeah.
and talking about Keith, I know you heard some of what we were talking about, but
Mm-hmm.
also I know when you moved to Valley Station that uh, the eldest of the Dunns was my first friend. It's Pam,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and Pam
Mm-hmm.
was also in the Army. Am I correct?
In the Air
Earth.
Force.
Air Force. Okay, I didn't
That's
know
right.
which branch.
Yes.
Because I came to spend a weekend with Pam, and she had me get on a horse. I told her I was afraid of horses, and she said, "Oh, well, just hold on to the reins, and it won't be a problem. Just get on the horse." Pam was a
Mm-hmm.
little pushy, so I said, "Pam, I'm scared of horses, but I got on this horse, and the horse got away from me. I jumped off the horse,
Oh my goodness.
and Miss Francis said she knew that our friendship was on a decline from there because Pam was totally ticked off with me. But I came and spent a weekend out there. That was the only weekend that I came to Fort Knox
Mhm.
to see my friend Pam. Pam was mad at me, and Pam didn't talk to me for a while. She didn't talk to me for a while. But the Dunn family, um, even with VT,
Mhm.
who's when I say VT, I'm speaking of Mr.
Virgil.
Virgil
Virgil.
Thomas,
Mm-hmm.
who is the widower of Fran Thomas.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a how would you describe your family? Keith, what would you say?
I'd
What do
say
you
that
call your family? They're what?
that everybody
They're
participating
everybody.
in the armed services except me.
Oh, everybody was in. So Larry
Everybody.
was in the armed services as well.
Oh yeah.
Everybody. Mama. Mama was a nurse at Army Hospital and all that.
Oh, I didn't know
Yes.
she was a nurse in the armed
Yeah.
services. I knew she was a nurse.
She
She's a
was.
nurse
She was.
at the hospital at Fort Knox.
Okay, at the hospital. Okay, okay.
Yeah, and stuff like that. So
Oh wow,
everyone participated in the armed services except me.
that's
Yeah.
all right. They
Yeah.
love you anyway. So, Ken, tell me,
Uh,
was there a moment? Did anything happen to you during your training, or your time in the armed services that you knew that there was a problem for blacks that were in the armed services?
it's yes, that's an interesting question because I served. Went to the Naval Academy, and I was one of the first group of larger numbers of black students going to the Naval Academy in 1970 because what had happened was the Navy and the Marine Corps realized that the racial problems that they had out of Vietnam, that the way that they were going to be able to fix those problems was to bring in more black officers. So,
Okay.
so they began to recruit and ensure that individuals like me had an opportunity to go to the Naval Academy. Coming out of, we went to Fort Knox, and then when VT went over to Vietnam for a second tour, see,
He
VT was
did 2 tours in Vietnam.
and listen, VT did Korea and 2 tours in Vietnam.
Whoa.
So he's a soldier.
Oh, wow, for sure.
So when he went back for his second tour, that's when we moved to Valley Station. And then from there, I went to the Naval Academy, and I was as it turns out, checking the records, I was the first black student from the state of Kentucky to go to the Naval Academy. I didn't realize that until I began to check. I was the first one, so
Wow.
so I went to Annapolis. But I don't think in my heart of hearts, Miss Janice, I don't think that I was affected very much by racism at the Naval Academy. Mostly because I felt that I was qualified. You know, I
To
didn't
be there.
say again.
To be there.
Yes, I felt I was more than qualified to earn an appointment to Annapolis. I was a football player. Uh,
Hmm.
most students that most students that I associated with in my company, I felt like I was just as smart as they were, maybe even smarter.
Hmm.
So I never had a feeling they were looking down on me, and
Okay.
that's basically as a result of growing up in Louisville and living in Fort Knox, then Valley Station. So it
And
wasn't.
Beechertracian. So that meant that you could whoop some butt if you had to.
It just I just never felt that I was out of place. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay.
So and I always said that my time at the Naval Academy was like almost like a racial nirvana. It was good, positive. Basically, as long as you did the work at Annapolis, then you got to pass. I mean,
Okay.
if you weren't willing to do the work, then eventually they would kick you out. But
Okay.
I felt like I was able to do the work and playing football. And then now going into the Marine Corps was different though. All right, so that's where the difference is. I think.
Okay.
Um, the history of the Marine Corps, which I teach. The racial history is that the Marine Corps was very very reluctant to accept black Marines, as your stepfather could attest.
And when you said you were the first black from Kentucky to go to the Naval Academy,
Right.
JT, my stepfather,
Hmm.
was one of the first to go to the Marines from Kentucky.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
I can believe that because
He
no,
actually could not um, sign up in Kentucky. He had to go to Cincinnati.
yeah, I can believe it.
Mm.
So Marine Corps, but the history of the Marine Corps just said that, and the customs in the Marine Corps, it took them much longer to integrate than the other services. And
Hmm.
I don't think I experienced bias and discrimination in the Marine Corps until I was much more senior. As probably lieutenant colonel and colonel. There were things that I couldn't put my finger on
Right.
that didn't make sense. And of course, I published my book.
Okay, let's talk about the book.
Well, the book is there. It is. But
Okay, Camp Lejeune. Okay,
it's
all right, because Camp Lejeune,
yeah, it's
that's where the Mumford Point Marines train,
that's
correct?
right. That's right. So I published this book in 2015, and it's just a journal. But you can't write a memoir, to be honest with you, as a black serviceman without mentioning race at some point. You just can't. And so those are things I mentioned in my book. But it's not a book about racism in the Marine
Racism per
Corps.
se. Okay.
It's a book about a black lieutenant colonel with a family, you know, uh, a military family, that is from Mom and VT and Pam and Larry and Rodney and Keith.
Now, see, I didn't know Rodney was in the military.
Well, here's the thing. Now, let's just take a step back, all right? And here it is. You got
Okay.
Virgil Thomas, all right?
Okay.
He's Korea and 2 tours in Vietnam, soldier. Our mother was a civilian nurse at Ireland Army Hospital in Fort Knox, so she was,
Okay.
doing a lot of military types of things. Pamela joined the Air Force the year I graduated from the Naval Academy, and she served 22 years in Air Force.
Wow.
And she retired and lived, came back to Louisville, and then she passed away in 2007. Right? She has
Yes.
a son, Sean, who's He's a retired senior master sergeant of in the Air Force. Lives in El Paso. And then Larry was drafted in 1967, so he went to Vietnam.
Okay.
Right?
So
And then,
Larry and VT went
yeah,
to Vietnam.
no, yeah, they did. They
Yeah.
did. They did.
Okay.
Then Rodney, when he graduated from Eastern, he was in ROTC, all right, and he came into the Army as a lieutenant, left as a captain. I think Rodney served 6 years in the Army.
Okay.
Okay, so and then there was me, and then like I said, Keith is pseudo military. You know, he's like a commander in chief of everybody.
Well, he runs a pretty tight ship down here in Louisville, Kentucky.
He does. He does.
Yeah. I mean, Keith
Yes,
and I got a lot closer when he was kind of doing the caregiving things with Miss Fran,
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
and I was doing the caregiving with Miss Emily.
Right.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
it's
Right.
something about when family say you're my kin folks, not necessarily and my skin folks. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
That
Some,
it was just very easy for him for me to offer what I knew, cause caregiving is not for the faint of heart.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, and Keith and I used to swap stories. You know, cause I know Miss Francis was running him round the corner, and Miss Emily would have me on my knees. You know, in tears. Now I think I'm tough,
Yeah.
but Miss Emily would have me on my knees because she wanted to know who
but
died
you
and
was
made me
holding
the
it down.
president.
You was holding it down. You was holding
Huh?
it down. You was
Well,
holding it down.
as best as we could,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
because they held it down for us. Look who
Mm-hmm.
we've become. Look how proud
Yes.
your mom had to be of all of her sons. You know,
Mm-hmm.
all of you. I mean, my cute dogs. I mean, I'm your whoop whoop Delta sister. You didn't know that, did you, Keith? Huh?
I'm with you. I'm with
I
you.
said, did you know I was a
I'm with
Delta?
you. Mm-hmm.
He didn't hear me.
What about the deltas?
I said,
What
did you
about them?
know I was a Delta?
Did I know
Did
you
you,
was a delta? Yeah, I knew. You told me.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
oh, did I?
Mm-hmm.
I want to make that just make that connection there too.
Yes.
So
Yes.
moving on.
Yes. Yeah. You
But
told me. Yeah.
the Dunn family and my family, uh, I saw the other day on Facebook that Larry had. How many of you have a friend have had a friend for 50 years?
mm,
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote on it or more,
that's
like
right.
you,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
our families have a very deep connection. Uh, so how do you feel, Keith? Tell me your take on. We're going to go move towards a little bit of the racist, the what's going in Louisville, since you're here. How do you feel about the protest? Are we making some moves? I know we just won a gigantic war the other day, but I think we still have some battles to go. I don't
Mm,
know if I can even call it the war, but I know we have some battles to go uh,
Yeah.
in the healing process of our country, and
Right.
we need to find some solutions to keep so that our black men and women are not just um, their lives are not just snuffed out
mm,
because of the color of their skin. We've got to get past that some kind of way, but
Uh,
we can't get past it until we have what the show Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is
right.
supposed to do. Until we address that, it has to be addressed. We cannot just say, well, I really don't, people used to say, well, I don't talk about religion or politics. Well, we're not going to talk about religion, and we don't have to talk about politics. Let's talk about race. you
Mm-hmm.
know
Mm-hmm.
just be
Mm-hmm.
real about it, because um we have a problem, and it just didn't start. It just has bubbled over. Anytime the television shows you black men and women dying on TV, that's we've got to move from that.
It's not a
I
sprint.
did ask you a
This is
question,
not a
Keith.
sprint. This is
Huh?
not a sprint. This is not.
No,
This isn't a
no, it's
sprint.
not a sprint.
It's not. It's not a sprint. This is not
Turn
a
your mic up
sprint.
some.
It's a
I
long
can't hear
distance
you
journey.
too well.
Okay, it's a long distance journey, and it's
Okay,
not a sprint. It's just part of it right now, and
right.
it's step by step, and um, obviously some injustices have been prevailed, have been shown, and then
Mm-hmm.
therefore these young folks ain't taking it. They ain't taking this stuff
No,
no more, you know.
no,
And but we still have to. It's like a wild horse, though. You still gotta keep your reins on it to make sure that they know which way to go, which way to go on the track. You know what I
right,
mean? So
right.
th- that's all it is. It's just not a sprint. This is a journey, and it's one step at a time. That's the way I feel about it.
Okay,
You know,
okay. Well, it
does that make
sure is
sense?
a journey. Well, I was just able to exhale. I
Mm.
felt like,
Mm-hmm.
that all the air had been almost sucked out of the universe from not
Mm-hmm.
knowing from one day to the next what
Yeah.
was happening to my people,
Mm-hmm.
what was happening to the rights that we fought for uh, back in the 60s,
Mm.
uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that we're still fighting though for those same rights today because some of them have been rolled back. So on Veterans Day, it would seem that this would be, Ken, maybe you can address this, that this would be a day that um, that we could come together more so as a country because we have um, military service in common.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how many other countries that have oppressed a race of people that will stand up and fight for that country,
Right.
like Black Americans have done um, in the United States.
Right.
How you know how we can still forgive.
Mm.